Hi, I'm Craig Scott, and thanks, Monica, and to everyone involved in the conference. It's great to be back here at Michigan, where I lived and taught for quite a few years with my partner, Lisa Iwamoto. And so for today's talk, I'll be discussing issues of technology through looking at some of the work of my practice, IwamotoScott Architecture. As a practice committed to pursuing architecture as a form of applied design research, our design process proceeds from the belief that each project can achieve a unique design synthesis. Our design stems from a desire to heighten architecture's experiential and performance-based nature, seeking to instigate architectural innovation through pushing the work's formal, spatial, structural, and material potential to adapt and transform. We're interested in the idea of adaptation, a process whereby initial forms or conditions are adapted to particulars of environment so as to produce a transformative result. As such, our work explores how to strategically produce architectural adaptation by synthesizing conditions of the everyday, whereby subtle adaptations of ordinary things are often demanded by external necessity. This exploration is pursued alongside continual testing of the fluid potentials of computation and material technologies. With this approach, we're interested in technology whose presence is felt peripherally, technology that is perhaps intuitive, sentient, ambient. In the case of build projects, this plays out in how material and fabrication techniques are deployed in construction. And physical material often is thought to perhaps be able to be perceived as media or medium in some of these projects, purposefully non-essentialized, nor necessarily resulting in a one-to-one correspondence between a given material and its reception. And a few intro project images. This group here are more structurally driven projects. These introductory projects I won't go into in depth. It so happens my partner, Lisa Iwamoto, is lecturing in a lecture series, and with more time to delve into some of these, so I'll be focusing specifically on 3 projects. But this group looks at structure that is able to adapt to program or a given brief. In this case, the mounds component of PS1. In the middle, a project called Pixel Trees for a competition for shade structures in Phoenix, and a recent project produced for the Protocell upcoming edition of AD. In this group, there's certainly a structural imperative, but it's more the paradigm of structural surface, and specifically in relation to a particular material, micro-veneer laminate called paperwood, which has a kind of transformative nature in its ability to shift perceptually from opaque to translucent, and in its lightness and ability to modulate porosity and luminosity with respect to complex geometry and structural performance. In-out curtain, voussoir cloud, Guangzhou rest box, and a project we recently, where we did an installation called Lightfold in a commercial lobby in downtown San Francisco. And the third group are where surface-based projects use a medium of light and fiber optic technology to both transmit daylight and artificial light, and as well potentially information, in each case in a kind of spatially adaptive manner. An early installation called Motion, derived from motion capture processes, Fiber-Optic Room, the illumination of the canopies component at PS1 Reef, and recent contemplating the void Guggenheim Museum installation, where fiber optics were proposed to transmit light from Frank Lloyd Wright's skylight at the top of the atrium, as well as the spiraling skylight that follows the ramp. And a third aspect of it is this ability to transmit the 50 years of the collection in a projective manner onto the surface revolving around the atrium. And so these three, which I'm going to go through quickly, are speculative future-based projects where we've been invited to participate in the past few years, organized in terms of scale: Jellyfish House, Edgar Street Towers, and HydroNet entry for the City of the Future competition. It's hopefully the discussion of these projects takes up this session topic. In our eyes, we see, in light of this topic, our work being a case, hopefully we're aiming to be smart with technology in terms of the technology at hand or the technology implied in the brief. So with the Jellyfish House, it was the beginning of some of these ideas which have continued to evolve in more recent projects. Designed for an exhibition whose brief called for a critique of the smart house notion as we now know it. The project draws conceptually from COM technology associated with ubiquitous computing, and suggesting that the digital realm will recede into the background of our spaces and lived experience. Like electricity, what characterizes COM technology is that rather than being interactive, the digital becomes part of the dwelling environment. It's not so much smart or intelligent, but connective, coexistive, pervasive. And the project's fluctuating envelope creates an ambient experience in the home that reveals the work of the skin in largely a peripheral manner. In this regard, the project expands upon aspects of COM or ambient technology that suggests the digital realm will ultimately recede into the background of our spaces and lives. At the macro scale, there's thinking about the site and of Treasure Island, the permutation of the house, and these ideograms of how that operates between the scales of the house and the island and its remediation of the toxic soil. The house itself is modeled on the idea, like the sea creature that it's named after, that it coexists with its environment as a set of distributed network senses and responses. It aims to incorporate emerging material and digital technologies in a reflexive and environmentally contingent manner. The structural skin of this project is thought of as a mutable, deep surface that mediates internal and external environments. And that a key component of that is its water filtration and harvesting capability that happens through the hollowness of the structural members. And so much of the effort went into looking at the specificity of the geometry of those surfaces and how that water could be directed to where it was captured. As well, the layers that make up the skin, the outer surface with its pores, layer of heat exchange material, and the different hollow tubes of the structure that filter and carry the water, And one of the key aspects of the layering, which we didn't initially get to represent, has to do with this idea of the innermost surface defining the interior spaces. While the house as a whole is defined by this largely transparent, fluid-filled water jacket where areas of the skin pattern and thickness are revealed and concealed, offering a productive, non-naturalized awareness of the forces at work within it. We imagine the interior as an OLED surface that can take on a more interactive, mediated, and transformative aspect as well, so that potentially the occupant might be transported to another place or space via, and it's, you know, you might have seen recent announcements of OLED wallpaper being here. The future is here, and by next year there'll be a version of it on the market. As moving to the next scale is the Edgar Street Towers project, produced as part of the Greenwich South, a speculative kind of vision plan for Lower Manhattan, where we are invited by the Downtown Alliance and the Architecture Research Office, who led a team of architects, artists, and designers to contribute a piece. The site we ended up with was at the intersection of Greenwich Street and the former Edgar Street, which had been closed by a metro parking structure. And the project is inspired by earlier visionary proposals for Manhattan that suggested hybrids of architecture and infrastructure occurring at an urban scale. The specific form of the building is adapting to the local site at the ground, as well as trying to register connections with the Manhattan, the morphology of Manhattan at large. And so at its base, it responds to this local condition of as the threshold to the tip of Manhattan, whether arriving or leaving by car or by tunnel or by ferry. And its form was studied and fine-tuned, this kind of form finding and fine-tuning through the scripting process of adjusting that twist of the void of Edgar Street as it rises up to align with Fifth Avenue and the grid of Manhattan to the north, where it's a perceivable connection that can occur at the top of the tower. There you can see the way that responds at the base to the Brooklyn Battery Tunnel approach. Layers of the project and its schema. The last one is showing a fiber optic array, which we thought of in concert with this environmental control and responsiveness of the project's exterior and interior in terms of the core and the atrium together acting as a kind of set of lungs through these terraria in the atrium floor. So the experience of that at the heart of the building internally is what we're getting at in these images, and how that ultimately it might achieve a kind of civic presence. With some work that's, you know, coming back to the present after these excursions into various lengths of time into the future. This is recent design for Obscura Digital headquarters in San Francisco, a major immersive and interactive media company, who we've collaborated with recently on projects. And in designing their new office space, it's also our new office space because we just recently moved in with them. And the work that they do is involving ambient technologies, including touch, gesture, spatial perception, holography, and immersive environments, interactive display, video mapping, and augmented reality. It's pretty amazing stuff at a whole range of scales that we're really excited to be able to potentially partner on a number of upcoming projects. Just a snippet of some of the recent work we've been collaborating with them on, the Daira sphere for the Palm Daira development in Dubai, a visitor center with a kind of surround projection screen to describe the project to visitors. Lobby showroom for a major print media retailer who's moving into digital media-based content delivery and e-readers, and a sales center for Google, for which Obscura and we worked together on an immersive space with Google Creative Labs, and other ones that are just getting going, and we're hoping that it'll lead to some exciting new possibilities in this new venture. Thank you.